That wasn't an accident. GAOLONG had the infrastructure map for the underpass right in front of him. 3 cameras, 2 of them with overlapping fields of view, creating one very precise gap, a 14-second corridor where all coverage simply vanished. The official city report called it budget constraints, redundancy not required, it said. He wrote that phrase down. Not required. The woman's smartwatch had recorded a sudden heart rate spike at 5:47 p.m. Then, a drop. But it wasn't immediate, not catastrophic. It was a fluctuation, the kind you'd see with stress, or a surprise, maybe even a light impact. The data just stopped at 5:48. The technical summary blamed it on battery failure, but the battery was at 62%. GAOLONG replayed the footage, frame by excruciating frame. At 5 hours 46 minutes and 53 seconds, she adjusted her coat. 6 seconds later, she stepped forward. At 5 hours 47 minutes and 0 seconds, she entered the blind zone. Exactly 14 seconds later, she reappeared on camera, seated against the wall. There was no transition, no fall, no stumble, no attempt to catch herself, just movement, then stillness. Emergency services were UNT even called until 6:18. That's 31 minutes after her last visible frame. The first person who saw her said, "I thought she was just waiting." Waiting, such a calm, harmless word. GAOLONG pulled the phone signal logs from the nearest cell tower. At 5 hours 47 minutes and 3 seconds, just 3 seconds into the blind zone, her phone pinged a second device for less than a second. An automatic handshake, the technician said. Just background system noise. Nothing actionable. Nothing traceable. The coroner's report mentioned minor bruising on her left forearm. Consistent with collapse, it read. No defensive wounds. No foreign DNA. No signs of restraint. Everything that could have pointed to foul play had a perfectly reasonable explanation, and everything explainable was dismissed. The next evening, GAOLONG went back to the underpass at the exact same time. 5:47 p.m. He stood in the blind zone. For 14 seconds, he was a ghost. Cars rumbled overhead. People walked by at the far end. No camera saw him. No system registered his presence. The city just kept functioning, completely unaware he was even there. 14 seconds. It's long enough for a quiet word. Long enough to gently redirect someone's path. Long enough to apply pressure, physical or otherwise. But it's not long enough to prove a thing. Back at his desk, he reread the classification memo. No indicators of foul play. No external force identified. Death likely medical in origin. Likely. Another word designed to softly close doors. He didn't believe the woman chose that underpass. He believed the underpass was chosen for her. But belief isn't evidence. And the gap between those two is a lot wider than 14 seconds. GAOLONG archived the footage. The blind zone is still there. Unchanged, uncorrected, invisible by design. He wrote one final line in his private notebook. If the system cannot see it, it does not exist. And if it does not exist, no one is responsible. He closed the notebook. The case is still open, but only because no one has found it convenient to close it just yet. End of Chapter 2. Now, you have a choice. Do we continue to Chapter 3, where a person, not just a system, makes their first appearance? Or do we take Case 2 in a different direction, making it more psychological and less about the structure? You decide the pace. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching!